Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of the Disney Plus Project. So we actually ended up watching Strange Magic for this week instead of Mulan, because we just ended up. Actually, it was because Aiden just decided that he wanted to watch that. He's watched it with her mom before a couple of times, and he really liked it.
Yep, he calls it butterflies.
Yeah. Because the fairies in the movie look like butterflies. Their wings look like butterflies.
Yeah, they have butterfly wings. So
yeah,
he wanted to watch butterflies.
And so we ended up sitting there watching it. I'd been meaning to watch it for quite a while because it was a George Lucas movie. It was a Lucasfilm movie, and I just never had gotten around to it. So we finally did. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into that, make sure if you're not subscribed to the channel, you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, hit that like button and leave us a comment and let us know what other Disney Plus movies or shows we should watch. So, at the very beginning of the movie, I really didn't necessarily like it. Because it's made as like a musical type movie.
It's more on par with like Trolls, where it's not like original music. They're taking
more popular songs or just well-known songs and putting them in.
Yes, it's done in that style, not in a true musical style.
Right. Yeah, it's not like Alan Menken sat down and wrote new songs for it. Yeah.
No, these are all songs that you will know as you watch the movie.
Yes. So, but the thing that bothered me at the beginning was that within the first 5 minutes, there was like 3 different songs. And then it kept going, and it just kept doing song after song after song. And when I looked at it, I was like, "There's no balance. There's no balance between the story and the songs right now." And it really bothered me because I was like, whoever was, I don't remember the guy that directed it, but it was like obviously whoever was the director obviously didn't know how to balance the music with the story, because like they're using songs that weren't meant to. Like when Alan Menken writes a song for Disney.
It's a story driver.
It's a story driver. The whole idea of the song and how he always wrote songs with Howard Ashman when he was still alive is that the song was to move the story forward. You should be at a different point at the end of the song than you were at the beginning of the song. And that's how it is with all Alan Menken and Howard Ashman and more modern Alan Menken songs. Whereas with this, and even with movies like, say, Trolls or Sing, the music is just there for entertainment purposes. It's there to be there. It's there to make it a musical.
And it's also there, though, to kind of discover the character. It's not plot driving, but you learn a little bit about the character when they sing
from the song that they choose to sing.
Yes, and so I think that that's part of why there were so many songs in the beginning, is because all those songs are setting up those characters. Yeah. And so you're learning about those characters. You learn about the main character's drive through that song. Like I said, it's not pushing the story by any means, but you learn about that character versus having this mile-long speech where they're talking to somebody and then you learn about what their goals are or whatever. You're learning about it through the song, and it's supposed to be a more entertaining way to drive the story. Because you got to think, this is based on Shakespeare, and Shakespeare, while I adore Shakespeare, is very dry.
Yes.
And it is very hard to drive those stories because they are so dry. And it's just a lot of talking because they're plays. They're not and the
sets are very limited because of the time.
Yeah, and so you're looking at very, very basic setups. And this is based on one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, but it's still
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes, but it's still a very, very dry play. And so if you're not finding some way to refresh it and bring it new life, it's really hard to follow, honestly.
Yeah.
Have you probably haven't, because you don't really care for like Romeo and Juliet. There was a remake of Romeo and Juliet where it put the setting in like the Bronx. And like it's like set in the 90s and it's like in the Bronx, and it's like really comical because they did all of that but they still kept the original Shakespearean language.
That's
so
great,
you have like
actually.
these like people like in the 90s, or maybe it was even 80s, it could have been like on that branching path there, but it was ridiculous to see these people dressed in modern clothing and then speaking in
Wherefore
Shakespeare.
out there, Juliet. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's the problem with Shakespeare, is how do you get from that ridiculousness and try to modernize it and make it relatable and make it understandable?
Cliff Notes.
No. Let's not.
And they did a good job. I just think there's movies like Sing that have done a better job using using the songs to dig into the characters.
Oh yeah.
Because what Sing did, it was essentially like a montage. None of those characters at the beginning, when it was character building for them, ever sang a whole song.
And I think that's where this failed, is that they
were
tried
each
to do
singing
too
a
much.
whole song.
Yeah.
And it just got a little ridiculous.
But I don't think it was the end all of the movie.
No.
Like, I don't think it destroyed the whole movie. I don't think it destroyed any part of it. I just think it made the beginning a little rough. Mm-hmm. But then once they kind of figure it out.
And I think that's why a lot of people don't like this movie, is because of how rough that first probably about 30 to 45 minutes are because of that. That people just by then checked out. So then by the time you got to like the second half of the movie, where it actually got good.
Yes.
And they just had checked out by then. And so they didn't even realize, oh, this is actually a good movie. They just didn't do well in the beginning. Because the end of it, there's only like a couple songs through the second half of the movie.
And they're again,
they make more sense.
Yeah, they fit in. Mm-hmm. And I think that you're right. If they had done like a montage-esque thing in the beginning,
with only like a few bits of each song that each character is singing,
and blend them together a little bit so that they run into one another, I think that would have done better.
Yes, much better.
But I don't think that it ruins the movie. I think it makes it hard for some people to watch if they're not truly committed to just paying attention. But I liked it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't keep me from watching the movie. It just just bothered me the first time I watched it because I didn't know that was going to happen.
And you know what? I didn't even notice. Like, I noticed, like, in the back of my head, I could tell, like, it was like, this is a lot of music. But it didn't even register in my mind that there should be a problem with that.
So I was like, for me, if you have as many spoken lines as Les Mis during this point, then there's a problem.
Well, and I think that the difference also is in what your tastes in music are. Like, I liked all those songs and I knew all those songs.
I knew a lot of them too.
But how many of them do you like? How many of them would you listen to freely on your own time?
Oh, none of them. That's not true. One of them, but that was the song at the end.
But that's the thing is, I know all those songs and I listen to all those songs. And so for me, it really didn't even trigger in my mind that there was too many of them or anything, because it's all songs I like and listen to. But if you only like one of those songs from that movie, then it might make it hard for you to tolerate. I could see where that could also be the impact factor.
Yeah.
Is I like all that music. I'm very eclectic when it comes to music, and I listen to things across all genres.
Yeah. And
so for me, I liked everything, but you didn't. And so I could see where you would be like, can we just not listen to this junk anymore?
No, it was a good movie. I did enjoy it, and I would watch it again. And
we're going to.
With Aiden, we're not going to have a choice.
Aiden likes butterflies.
He wants to watch the butterflies, which sounded like he was saying bullseye, and we couldn't figure out what he was saying until he pointed at Strange Magic. So
butterflies.
But yeah, so we will end up watching it again regardless. But I wouldn't mind watching it again, because I actually did enjoy it once I got past that first bit, and it'll be fine watching that first bit now.
I was gonna say, now that you've already seen it and you've lived it and it's done, you'll move past it and ignore it now.
Yes, exactly. But no, and I would recommend watching this movie, even like if you're a fan of like musicals, like Disney musicals and stuff like that, or like the Sing movie or Trolls or anything like that. This is actually a good movie.
Yeah.
Or if you're a fan of Shakespeare, because it's just kind of an interesting take on Shakespeare.
It is a very interesting take on Shakespeare, because like we're watching it, and again, this is based on my favorite Shakespearean play. And Ryan goes, "Is that supposed to be?" And I was like, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I was really confused. I was like, is that supposed to be King Oberon, or who is that supposed to be?
Yeah, because they changed a lot of the names.
Yes.
So you're looking at it, and like I could point out certain characters. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's Puck. I can see that's who that's supposed to be.
Oh no, not the elf.
Didn't she call
that
him a
little
sprite?
that little rat thing.
I think she called him a sprite, is what she called him. Which again kind of falls in line with
he was the mischief character.
Yeah, but it's Puck, and so like I could pick out certain characters, but it definitely they changed it enough that it's very loosely based on Midsummer's Night's Dream.
Yeah,
very loosely.
Yeah. So that was kind of our thoughts on Strange Magic.
Yeah.
So next week we will be doing the new live-action Mulan, and we were pretty excited to try watching that.
Yes.
I'm more excited than she is because I actually like and have researched the original Mulan legend, which is supposed to be what this newer one is based more on, is the actual legend as opposed to being based on the original Disney movie.
I like the original legend, but like I'm just not into like action movies.
She doesn't like action movies. She doesn't really like historical movies. She finds them boring.
Pretty much. If there's not singing and dancing, it really doesn't sit well with me.
Yes, whereas I will sit down and watch all like 3 or 4 hours of Alexander and be perfectly fine.
It has to be one way or the other. It has to be musicals and singing and dancing and fun and blah blah blah, or it has to be a documentary.
Of something that you're really interested in.
Right, but
Can't just be a documentary.
Well, yeah, but it can't be that in between where it's like a fictional movie based on a true story. That's I really don't care for those.
What about Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter?
Not based on a true story. I've never seen it though.
Oh, okay.
I have the book. I don't think
as a history major, that is a side of Abraham Lincoln that I never knew about.
I have the book. I never read it. And I never saw the movie.
I saw the movie.
So there's that.
But yeah, so that's the plan for next week. So thank you all for joining us this week, and we hope to see you again next week. But until then, don't forget to thank the Phoenicians.